Mangroves grow next to the sea, in quiet bays and estuaries. They are an extreme type of woodland, occupying territories unthinkable for the vast majority of plants. It seems incredible that the trees of the mangroves can live in salt sea water. Very few terrestrial plants can survive in that environment, but the mangroves' amazing adaptations that allow them to live here go even further. We might say that the mangrove is an amphibian forest, perfectly adapted to the rising and falling of the tides. The biological richness of mangroves is remarkable. Low tide is celebrated by thousands of small creatures, especially crabs, engrossed in a bizarre ritual. The males emerge from the mud and begin their extraordinary claw dance. Thus, they mark their territory and attract a mate. For fiddler crabs, it is clear that size matters. The male with the largest claw is more likely to maintain its territory and so reproduce. But it is not always enough just to show off your size. Male crabs sometimes engage in balletic displays of prowess to decide who's in charge. But the dance lasts only until the tide returns to swallow the floor of the mangrove. The crabs then bury themselves in tunnels in the mud. The fauna of the mangrove must flee the neighborhood for the next few hours. All the animals that live here do so at the mercy of the moon and its tides. Their lives follow the lunar cycle and the rhythm of the sea. Some of the mangrove's most stalwart inhabitants take refuge inland, waiting for both the tide and the heat to drop. On the hills overlooking the mangrove, the air is cooler. Proboscis monkeys spend much of their time dozing in the branches. Their digestion is slow and heavy. They'll not move again until evening. Not far away, on the lower branches, crab-eating or long-tailed macaques also take a break. It is a time for strengthening the bonds of the tribe, for relaxing, and even taking a siesta. Grooming rituals have both a calming effect and also help maintain friendships and alliances. Monkeys that groom together will support each other in cases of conflict with other group members. The elegant and agile langurs or luturs also rest in the woodland near the mangroves. This is the best time for feeding the young. The youngest family members are a striking orange color, allowing parents to find them quickly in cases of danger. But by 5 months old, they are more independent, and their coats become darker, similar to that of their parents. While the tide is high in the mangrove, only birds and insects can continue their normal activities. Small buds are beginning to open. But this bug is impatient. It drills through the hard covering to reach the flower's juices. Bees, however, prefer more traditional methods. They wait for the flowers to unfold to feed on the nectar. And in doing so, they contribute to the pollination of this unique forest. Thanks to their efforts, the fruits of the mangroves will claim new territories from the sea. As time passes, the sea begins to retreat. And the muddy mangrove floor is exposed to the air. Playfully moving around the water's edge is one of the strangest fish on the planet. Spending more time out of the water than submerged, the mud skipper. In this mysterious forest, everything seems to be a contradiction. Trees with roots in the air and fish that live out of water. Mudskippers can be found throughout the mangroves of the Indo-Pacific Seas and the African Atlantic region. Their habitat is the mud which the mangrove roots hold in place. They move using their 2 pairs of pectoral fins, adapted so as to become almost legs. These fins are reinforced with very strong muscles that allow them to climb roots and move rapidly across the ground. But this is not their only adaptation. They have large, bulging, mobile eyes, exceptional among fish. As they are on the top of their heads, their vision is very similar to that of terrestrial vertebrates. And they can see perfectly both in and out of the water. Mudskippers have special folds of skin for retaining water. When out of the sea, they periodically contract their eyes to moisten them with the water stored in these folds. This adaptation to terrestrial life is unique among fish. While they jump around the mud newly revealed by the tide, it seems that a few drops from above are the portent of a terrible tropical storm. But no, it's just a false alarm. Proboscis monkeys urinate after their nap. Relieved and now carrying less weight, they leisurely jump through the branches, heading towards the appetizing mangrove trees. The heavier males will think twice before moving their huge bellies. Silvery lutungs, quicker and more agile than their cousins the proboscis monkeys, have already made their way into the upper mangroves. They usually investigate the boundary line between beech and trees, where vines and freshwater rivulets abound. These silver leaf monkeys feed on vegetables, especially mangrove leaves and other fibrous plant matter. But they also eat fruits, seeds, and flowers. Their sharp, ridged teeth are designed for tearing and chewing even the oldest and toughest leaves. Thanks to these adaptations, they can live in forests that other langur species without such adaptations would be unable to inhabit, as they cannot eat this diet. And so they are spared direct competition from similar species of monkey. In order to avoid predators such as the feared crocodiles that inhabit the mangroves, langurs only rarely come down from the trees. However, after feasting on salty mangrove leaves, a nice drink is a real pleasure. And some are willing to risk a great deal for a good drink. This baby lutung also wants to drink. But Mum has other things on her mind. She needs to eat urgently in order to produce enough milk for her offspring. For now, the little one has to wait. Lutungs prefer areas that are further from the sea, and mangroves are clearly divided into several zones. With a complex structure owing to their aerial roots, there are relatively few species of mangrove worldwide, only 54, found around coasts according to their varying salt tolerance. Mangrove forests contain many other plant species, such as the vines that the langurs like to eat. All are capable of tolerating extreme salinity and minimal levels of oxygen in the water and soil. Anatomical and physiological adaptations to combat the salt and lack of oxygen are clear to see. Some trees seem to rise on stilts. while others are surrounded by small columns known as pneumatophores. These specialized exposed roots allow mangrove trees to obtain air from the mud and water. The surface of these pneumatophores is covered with lenticels, special pores, which take in air through their spongy tissue. Each tide deposits a thin layer of organic material, rapidly consumed by millions of tiny creatures. These are the most abundant and are the first link in the food chain. It's the moment the crab-eating macaques have been waiting for to make their foray into this strange forest. They know that there is plenty of exquisite seafood around here. They also know how to find and enjoy a special meal. Prospecting across the mangrove in puddles left by the recent tide, they find some of the most succulent crabs. Macaques learn from experience, discovering the secrets of their environment every time they venture out into the swamp in search of food. So while youngsters try again and again to catch a crab, the adults calmly savor their aperitif. The excursion has been a success, but it seems that the returning sea is intent on drowning everything. It's time to retreat. The rising tide doesn't only drive the larger animals away. Hermit crabs need to ascend to the highest mangrove areas, even climbing the branches and roots of trees. At least as a temporary escape. Large numbers of mudskippers follow the rhythm of the tides, and now they gather to eat among the small waves breaking almost without force. They gather at the highest part of the mangroves as the tide reaches its limit. Apparently dead shells come alive. Hermit crabs now take over the mud. And with their borrowed home protecting them, they look for any organic debris left by the high tide. Some are lucky, and a fish feast is found. This horseshoe crab, a strange arthropod that has inhabited the seas for 300 million years, was left stranded at low tide. And if it cannot right itself, soon it will become part of one of the mangrove's inhabitants' supper. It is a delicacy that is enjoyed only very rarely. Later in the evening, the bearded pigs, just like the hermit crabs have done, will scour the mangrove beaches. Perhaps one of them will find the delicious prostate horseshoe crab. Crab-eating macaques also roam the beach at sunset. The mangrove always has something new for them to eat, and it is they who find the horseshoe crab. Hierarchy imposes a strict order at table, and the most powerful females are the first to eat. The youngsters have to be content with leftovers. The mangroves are the transitory home to macaques and horseshoe crabs, wild boar and ghost crabs, fish and monkeys, birds and insects. It is a unique ecosystem, exceptional in the richness of its biodiversity. The existence of the mangroves, these magical forests that depend on the rhythm of the moon, is fundamental for countless creatures that have adapted to the coming and going of the tides. And so, every evening, before the tide turns and the waters rise again, the dwellers of the mangrove seem to look to heaven and thank the moon for its benevolent, creative influence on this strange and enigmatic jungle. The southern African bushveld is a classic savanna, a wide variety of vegetation, from pastures to trees with narrow, small and large leaves that subtly changes with the terrain. It may not be a dense, impenetrable jungle, but the bushveld is still an immense maze of trees and bushes, a refuge for large numbers of animals, many of them in critical danger of extinction, such as the black rhino. This scrubland is their last hiding place, their only remaining sanctuary. This vegetation is also their sustenance, as they feed on the low branches, leaves and undergrowth. With their impressive horned snout, they delicately search out succulent morsels that have withstood the cold, arid southern summer. Mother and offspring must be able to resist the drastic changes in temperature throughout the year, from 3 degrees below zero to 40 degrees Celsius. During the summer, some nights may see their territory freeze, so the young rhino, at no more than 2 years old, but weighing half a ton, continues to suckle from his mother to get through the dry, cold summer. Despite its unassuming appearance, the bushveld is home to numerous of the region's giants. Buffalo, zebra and wildebeest roam the territory discreetly, coming and going among the scattered tree cover. And nervous groups of kudu and impala cautiously hide in the undergrowth. Being able to hide or flee into the brush gives them a sense of security. But they are not always safe. Wild dogs patrol the bushveld, preparing an ambush. Like the black rhino, this unique species is also critically endangered. The web of life connects all beings living in this extraordinary ecosystem, which includes a multitude of birds, insects, and mammals. And this complex relationship often converges around the large mammals, like these buffalo. Thousands of flies, ticks, and other parasites make their home in their fur and even in their ears and noses. Which in turn attract red-billed oxpeckers that feed on the tiny parasites. Sometimes they even make the most of the opportunity to drink a little blood. At the other end of the scale, the mighty African elephant is an essential component of this environment. Nowhere in the world is the relationship between landscape and its inhabitants more evident. Thanks to their incredible strength and huge appetite, elephants are responsible for reshaping large areas of their home. It is a relationship of both love and destruction that remodels this landscape on a daily basis. An adult elephant needs to consume more than 200 kilos of vegetable matter a day. That includes leaves, twigs, and even roots. Their favorite food is the trees of this woodland, and a few sharp thorns are no obstacle. With their 4 huge molars, they can crush everything they collect with their trunks and tusks. The white rhinoceros, another of the giants that live in this tangled woodland. Unlike its cousin, the black rhino, the white rhino is a grazer that spends much of its time in small meadows. Its long, straight, thick lip is adapted for pulling up the grass that grows between the trees. The white rhino's massive bodies provide an excellent meal for oxpeckers, who cling to and amble around their mobile restaurant, thanks to their specially adapted feet. Their long, thin claws may assure them an excellent grip on the back of their walking dinner table, but in other circumstances, they complicate life somewhat. When walking on the ground or having a sand bath, these oxpeckers quite literally are prone to trip over their own feet. The white rhino leads a peaceful life, usually. Large males spray urine and leave droppings to mark their territory. Although males will normally tolerate each other, tensions rise when a female is in heat. Competition for her attention causes the mood to change. And 2.5 tons moving at 50 kilometers an hour can do some serious damage. The joust rarely causes individuals to be badly hurt, but serious enough injuries can result in the death of a suitor. Tragedy is a part of daily life on the African plains, yet another aspect of the superb drama of this magnificent landscape. The bushveld changes markedly according to terrain and climate. The Limpopo and Olifants rivers flow through vast tracts of woodland, bringing refreshing water during the southern summer. And when the bushveld dehydrates, the foliage of trees bordering nearby rivers provides both shelter and food for many animals. These carefree grivets, also known as African green or savanna monkeys, are at play. Safe in the knowledge that someone is always on guard. These old world primates thrive in this unusual woodland habitat. While the surrounding territory dries up, fig trees provide them with delicious and nutritious fruit. The banquet is shared amicably with a variety of birds, such as barbets, turacos, and guinea fowl, happy to collect the fruit that falls on the forest floor. But you should never let your guard down. An African fish eagle, a very real danger, hunts overhead. Grivets have at least 3 distinct alarm calls. They can warn of danger from the skies, such as this eagle or a hawk. And they also have special calls to indicate the presence of both leopards and snakes. The savannah has a wide cast of predators, each with a special role to play. Hyenas, for example, are at the peak of the food pyramid, above even the lions and leopards. The wounds he received in combat have finally caused the death of this male rhino. The hyenas and vultures each take their share of the body. Spotted hyenas are the bushveldt's most effective scavengers, but also its greatest hunters. In spite of their reputation, they do in fact hunt 80% of their food, often pursuing sick or injured animals, such as this rhino. Their bite is the most powerful of all the carnivores, allowing them to demolish even the largest of bones. In addition, their teeth are extremely hard, so in just a couple of days, the pack of hyenas, together with the vultures, will have stripped bare the giant rhinoceros's body, and the woodland landscape will be left clean and pristine. The southern African bushveld is located on a wide, undulating plateau in the interior of the continent, scattered with outcrops of granite, quartzite, and sandstone. These rock formations are home to the small and elusive klipspringer antelope. They're also a favorite haunt of the leopard. Here, spread below the rocks, the brush still has its autumnal mantle, but the flora is different. 𝗤𝗂𝗯𝗀 trees dominate the landscape. 𝗤𝗂𝗯𝗀 is a unique species that only grows in this limited region of Africa. Unlike the other trees in this ecosystem, the 𝗤𝗂𝗯𝗀 has curiously broad leaves, divided in two like a pair of wings. 𝗤𝗂𝗀 comes from the local language and means butterfly. In the savanna ecosystem, the grass is as important as the mopane and other trees. It is not as abundant as in the open plains, but it is vital for the large herbivores, such as these Cape buffalo, the only ones here that gather in large herds. Giraffes graze between the mopane and other bushveld trees. Their long tongues let them pick off the most appetizing shoots, but they must act quickly before the leaves start to fall. As the leaves change color, the fruit ripens as summer advances. It is now that tree squirrels harvest the mopane's bean-shaped and oil-rich fruit. Thanks to the mopane, these squirrels can find all their vital needs within just a few square meters of woodland, including defense against their predators. Safe from danger, a flock of mousebirds. The savanna is one of their favorite environments, and they often collect fruit, shoots and leaves from the bushes and shrubs. They huddle together to groom and enjoy a bit of physical contact. Forming tight groups like this also helps keep them warm. At sunset in the southern summers, temperatures can drop to no more than 5 or 6 degrees Celsius. With the mousebirds already huddled up for the night, guinea fowls slowly gather beneath the trees. They have spent all day scratching around the ground for seeds, but at night they roost in the branches above. Sunset in the butterfly forest, and some of its giant inhabitants are still eating. The rhythm of life never ceases in these extraordinary woodlands of southern Africa.